Assalamualaikum, selamat datang ke ruang keempat. Jangan lupa like, subscribe, dan tekan butang lonceng notifikasi. Jom layan live kali ini, let's go guys.
Answer. I'll try my best to shorten it as much as possible. The reason why I believe our generation is a sandwich generation because while there are many others out there who see us as generasi strawberry, pretty sure about it kan. Sorry, strawberry, lembek, lemah, lesu, kita tak melalui perang, you know. Dulu tok nenek kita kena lawan kemerdekaan, kita tak mati, tak angkat pistol. Because of that we're lazy and you know, all these stereotypes of Gen Z, I don't know what after Gen Z is called. The fact of the matter is actually you guys will face it much harder than the previous generations. Because the fact of the matter is every generation will have its own problems. You guys went through COVID. I mean, just to put it into a little bit of context and numbers, more people died from COVID than many wars combined. And not just that, the lost years through COVID, the lost education years through COVID. But it's not just about COVID. Because you are truly pressured top to bottom. I just show a very simple example, right? My mum, when she graduated, she could still stay with my grandparents then for 5 years after. And at that point in time, my grandparents would already have a saving, and my mum could start off her life as my grandparents will be that bouncing platform to move upwards. Today, the situation is very different because our parents' generation, as many data have shown, do not have a proper retirement plan. If you look at the EPF data, which was disclosed, more than 50%. And EPF, you know, is our savings, life savings, have less than 10 to 15,000 in their life savings. If you look at another statistic shared by Ringgit Plus, it showed that the majority of Malaysians do not even have enough money to survive for the next 60 days if they are laid off from their job. So, put it into context, why sandwich? From the top, you are expected now to take care of your parents, and from the bottom, you are expected to start up your own family. That also explains today why more youths are choosing to postpone their date of marriage. I know it's very ironic because I'm 33, I'm not married yet. I don't think I'm the best example for this. It's a very different reason. But for many other young Malaysians, that's an actual reason. So you look, the replacement of a fertility rate, for example, to ensure that one can be replaced with one is 2.1. So each couple must have 2.1 children. Jangan elak macam you ada 2 children tu 1 tu you separuhkan, tak lah. Some will have 3, some will have 2. But Malaysia today, the replacement rate is 1.6. For Chinese, you know, Chinese friends, no, I'm not being racial, I'm saying this is the data. Data does not lie. For Chinese couples is 1.2 to 1.3. It's even lower. In some more affluent families, it's 0.9. So I mean, the replacement rate is very, very low. But to blame Malaysians, you can't blame them because it is a sandwich generation kind of a problem. Okay, so I think I've established that particular problem. Now talking about solutions. If you look again at the difference with our parents then, my mother then, despite working as a civil servant and a young civil servant, while the income is still relatively low, back then the income was only about 1,400, 1,500 when you started. However, due to government's soft loans, she could immediately purchase a house and own a house by the time she turns 30. A house is an appreciating asset. So that's already, and when you have a house, an asset, you are bankable. That means you can get more loans in the future to help your children, your family grow. Malaysians today, most of them are renting. They can't even get a loan for a house. What more to pay a down payment? So I think we are living also in an asset-like generation. So if I was government, I think ensuring that the younger generation have will not be asset light or could transition to become asset heavy is one thing which I'll work remarkably hard on. So that's one part of things. Second part obviously is a problem of wages, right? Because cost of living is increased, wages have largely stagnated. Again, don't look at absolute numbers. Macam tapi setiap tahun ada je naik RM50, RM60, betul? That's why people don't look at inflation numbers, they look at real inflation. What you mean by real inflation is that when you factor in together inflation rate and increase in wages, then you get the proper number. And in Malaysia, it has stagnated for more than 10 to 20 years. It's worse among graduates, which is much, much worse. So on this matter, I think there must be a concerted policy on ensuring that real wages will increase. What can be done? I've pursued a few things. Wage transparency laws, which we do not have in Malaysia, which transparency laws means, for example, today if you are a graduate, you go out, your employer is not even compelled to display how much they want to offer you. Why that's bad? Because in the end, the market will work against employees instead of employers wanting to compete to get the best talent through increase in wages. That's one law which Malaysia does not have and many developed countries have. There are many examples we have shared. Again, it'll be a very long essay. I think these are areas in which we definitely need to work on. Final part behind it, I think, is again on elderly care. Don't think elderly care is like macam kena kasih kerusi roda. No, it's about coming up with policies to ensure that the older generation will have a proper retirement plan. That's why if you ask me, while it may be a popular thing to pursue for withdrawal of EPFs as frequently as possible, but that in a way is a short-term policy which hurts the country in the long term, because that means our parents will deplete their retirement funds, and who will have to pay for that? Korang lah. It's you guys. As I just shared, your absolute numbers of your generation is shrinking. The older ones are living longer and longer, which is a good thing. Takkan aku nak cakap, oh, aku nak ibu bapa aku mati awal, tak lah kan. But they're living longer and longer. The cost of healthcare is increasing as each year passes by because of an increase of their life expectancy. So the tax base is getting smaller because you guys are expected to pay taxes in the future. They are no longer working. So you see the problem here? The top is getting bigger, bottom is getting smaller, while the bottom is expected to take care of a growing top. So I think this is something which will be a very unpopular, serious topic which needs serious discussion in Parliament. That means having more taxes to increase our tax base so that we can subsidise healthcare better. That means having more progressive taxes to ensure that we can take care of the older generation better, and strictly enforcing retirement plans to ensure that the older generation will have a better savings plans for the future so that you will not be burdened by it. So there are many things, but just some of the things I'd like to share. Thank you.
Criticized by the older participants. So how do you overcome this challenge? Does it affect you?
To be honest, I don't give much thought into it. I mean, not to say I'm arrogant, I don't give much thought. It's just, there's a saying, if you want to be popular, sell ice cream. If you want to do good and receive a lot of hate, join politics. Do not be so concerned with the views of others. Especially those who you know come from a very different place, especially from a place which may be very negative. So for me, when they call budak-budak, cucu, apa, you tak tahu apa-apa, budak manja, I laugh it off. And I don't take it that seriously. I don't take it personally. Tak pernah saya terfikir, terlintas dalam minda saya bahawa saya nak balas dendam kepada mereka. Saya pun nak bangun panggil mereka, kau ni dah lah apa, dah nak mati, tua, bongkak kan. Baik baca doa cepat sebelum dikuburkan. I don't do that. Even though, the more evil side of me, 5% of me is like, oh, should I give this comment? It'll be funny. But no, I wouldn't go there. So you will encounter these comments. Learn how to take it with humor. Because in the end, you will know that some of the most important changes will magnetize the toughest of response, and you must be strong enough to face those responses. Thank you.
My name is Wai Ming, and I am a political science student. My first question.
Wai Ming?
Wai Ming.
Pol Science at which university?
Unimas.
Oh, okay. Oh, you came from all the way. Okay.
I am fans of YB.
Thank you.
I follow YB since beginning. My first question is about MUA. Kenapa YB keluar daripada kerajaan dan menyertai blok berkecuali, dan tiada rujukan yang telah diberikan oleh kepada YB untuk kawasan YB, dan YB telah membuat berbagai cara seperti larian dari MUA ke Parlimen, dan telah membuat challenge kotak, dan setelah itu untuk mendapatkan dana. Yang kedua, soalan saya, apakah nasihat YB kepada saya sebagai student political science pada masa depan.
Baik.
Soalan yang terakhir, sorry YB.
Banyak banget tu.
Sekiranya YB diberi peluang pada masa depan untuk menjadi perdana,
Ya, dan kuasa, duit, jawatan dan yang lain. So you need to find that reason, and that reason must be a good reason, and you need to ensure that that reason stays with you wherever you go. Terakhir sekali, ini bukan soal PM. Kalau berada dalam kerajaan pun perlu memainkan peranan. Too many. Perkara pertama adalah untuk memastikan bahawa sistem demokrasi negara dimantapkan. I'm an institutionalist. Saya bukan salah seorang yang tidak hanya menaruhkan harapan kepada politik personality ataupun politik kepartian. Saya meletakkan harapan kepada institusi negara yang melangkaui mana-mana personality politik. Maksudnya, harapan saya satu hari nanti, walaupun musuh politik terteruk saya ditakdirkan untuk jadi Perdana Menteri, Malaysia tetap akan berada di landasan yang betul kerana institusi negara tu dah sangat kukuh. Apa institusi negara? Di sinilah kerajaan tidak boleh memusatkan kuasa. Contoh, kuasa Perdana Menteri itu perlu dikurangkan. Di sini saya kata Perdana Menteri tidak boleh kawal, contohnya peruntukan ICU yang diberikan atau diagihkan kepada kerajaan atau pembangkang. Perdana Menteri tidak boleh mengawal institusi Suruhanjaya Pencegah Rasuah MMU Cyberjaya. I slept on the pavement floor with a few other friends under this historic tree at Alamanda. I don't know whether the mall is still there or not. Alamanda Putrajaya. Because it's a 2-day, one night kind of a competition. And that happened many times, you know. But it's for the reason I say it comes from a good place, because I wanted to learn. I wanted to be better. And today with the internet, my God, you can do so many things. Sorry, not internet. Internet has always been there, but with accessible, high quality internet, you can learn so much, even without a proper formal structure or formal competitions. And that's truly how I learn. You mentioned that your trainer asked you to learn online. I learned, I think then 60-70% online, because I knew if it's only through me benchmarking myself to Malaysian debaters, I will never go far. But I knew when I watched the world's best debaters and I know how far ahead they are of me, then I know how much I needed to improve, what I can do, what I needed to do to be better than them. Not to be the same, but to be better than them. So I think that requires a lot of creativity and innovation for you to work outside of the box to get where you're at. And I'm always a person who believes in innovation, no matter how controversial it may be. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, kena tanya dia. Saya ikut nanti.
Sure. Please ask question.
Sorry?
Hi YB. Hi. So I want to ask about ongoing proposal about housemanship. Like before we know it's for 2 years for housemanship, but in the proposal said for 2008 it was 1 year because due to a shortage of medicine graduates. So now they are trying to bring back 1 year housemanship. So what do you think about it? Is it going to be better because it's going to increase the burden of government healthcare workers, or what if it went out, maybe more case of medical malpractice? What do you think?
What I think about it, I'm not the expert, and I'll allow the experts to decide about it. I mean, the easy thing for me to do is to act as if I know about this issue in the best way possible. I don't, and I require experts' advice on this matter. What I do know is the reason why it was transitioned for 1 to 2 years is because of a surplus and an excess of medical practitioners, and as a consequence, if you allowed everyone to come in, there's just not enough spots available. Similarly then, if you know, in 1998, after the Asian financial crisis, the reason why we moved from a 3-year to 4-year degree program is because there were just too many graduates coming out, but not enough spots or jobs available. Problem is, when the market went back to normal and there are enough jobs, government just didn't move back from 4 years to 3 years, and today you guys are reaping the, not dividends, the sufferings of it. And that's why a Malaysian graduates much later than a foreign graduate, which will put you at a great disadvantage. So similarly, when it comes to medical fraternity, I think I'll allow them to comment, and for me to get their advice to comment on this further. Are you reading medicine?
One of my list for further study.
Yeah.
I just finished my SPM.
Yeah. So most actually it's not just the medical fraternity. Even in law, I mean, we have a cap. That's why a lot of universities actually want to teach law, but they can't because at times we have a surplus and an excess of legally trained individuals. So then it creates another problem. But I think for medicine it's a lot more acute. That's why in Malaysia today, even with that 2-year so-called practicum, There are just not enough spots. And so even after 2 years, you have to wait an average 6 to 8 months before you can actually get a placement in a public hospital, which then leads to many of our doctors leaving Malaysia, unfortunately and tragically. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not going to ask about your personal life, akta that you're trying to do, or the peruntukan issue, but instead I want to ask on Muda's path as your its founder. I wrote this last night before I went to sleep. It's long, so please bear with me. This is a continuation of his question on Muda's exiting the government bloc. I've always admired your passion for reform and youth empowerment, and there's no denying that you've played a key role in shaping political discourse among young Malaysians. However, I observe Muda's trajectory, I can't help but notice some inconsistencies that raise important questions about its direction and leadership. You claim to fight for a new political culture, one that rejects corruption, old school patronage, unprincipled political manoeuvring. Yet, when it was what I believe politically convenient, you contested under PH banner in GE15, supported Anwar's government, and only withdrew after the Zahid DNAA controversy. But after that, you continue to align with PH on key policies like governance, reform, and multiracial politics, a complete opposite of what PN is trying to achieve as another opposition party, putting Muda now only struggling to gain electoral traction and becoming politically isolated. Given these contradictions, electoral traction and political hardship now that you have faced, do you truly believe Muda is still a viable force for political change, or has it simply become a temporary vehicle for your own political survival?
Okay, thanks. That's a great question. First and foremost, I need to clarify, I'm not the president of Muda, so for me to comment on the direction of Muda, I think would do a great disservice to the party overall. I made a principled stand to step down when my case came up, and unlike many political leaders, I never asked for my case to be dropped. If political convenience is my priority, I would still be a minister today. I just want to put that on record. In 2020, I could have picked a very easy path, but political convenience is not my name, and I believe in holding that principled path. I have to address one by one of your concern. Number one is, I contested under PH banner. Number one, we never contested under PH banner. Muda contested under Muda's banner. I signed the Watika. That's on record. Secondly, PH, prior to election, promised a very different platform. They themselves said that they will not drop any corruption charges. If anything, they promised to jail those very individuals. But in government, with power, they did the exact opposite. So if anything, I didn't betray the mandate, they did. That's the second part. Third, like any political developments, when there are good things you support. For example, you mentioned, why do you support some good principle things, policies taken by PH? Why should I oppose it? Politics is not an area in which you should just oppose everything and everyone for the sake of being in opposition. It's not. If anything, if there are good policies, you should support. And where it is bad, you should go against. For example, when it comes to dropping of corruption charges, I speak out against. But when there are good reforms done, I will support and I will continue to support. And that's what politics is all about. I think the bigger issue is about how to make Muda electorally relevant, and that's where in politics you need to find the fine line between compromises and defending your principles. I think that fine line is not for me to make. It's something which the party should decide collectively, but I believe in time we will get that. I mean, if you look at politics throughout Malaysia's history, it requires so much compromises. But I want to ask myself personally, and this is a very personal question for me. In 2020, I was given the opportunity to be a minister again. But in return, I need to be part of a party which allowed for a backdoor government to come in, and above and beyond that, to endorse corruption charges to be dropped. I didn't, and I fought against the very same party which I co-founded. 2022, when I'm in government again, do I just then keep quiet when someone else does the exact same thing which I fought against before? If I remain quiet, then I'm the hypocrite, not the party who I fought before. And these are all important questions which everyone will face. I mean, I faced it much earlier in life maybe. But these are questions which today allow me to sleep peacefully at night. Because I know if I pick a different path, it is a path which I know is unprincipled, compromise my beliefs, my values, a path in which I will be judged not just by my friends and colleagues but by God, and a path which will, I think, rid me of my conscience and will make me another typical politician. Today, while it is difficult, people say, oh, you cannot sleep because of this. Oh, trust me, I can sleep peacefully at night because I know my conscience is clear. Thank you. sorry, kita ada kekangan mata. So YB ada urusan selepas ini. So kita ambil 2 lagi soalan, Adam and also sorry. Yeah, okay. So Adam first.
Okay,
Short and sweet.
so I think just to build up Edward's point, which I think a lot of many voters actually feel very disillusioned by the current state of politics within this country, particularly regarding accountability and leadership transparency. What do you think leaders, including yourself, need to do differently to regain that?
I mean, first and foremost, that's where you need to have principled leaders, right? I mean, when people see politics as a means to an end for power and power only, then they start getting disenchanted in politics overall. I mean, 30 years ago, the trust deficit between the people and politics was relatively low. Today, the trust deficit is very high. I mean, it's not based on parties, it's based on politics overall. And I don't think that's just a Malaysian phenomenon, that's a global phenomenon. That's why people like Donald Trump can come in and, saying that they want to take down the house, despite the fact that they themselves are exactly the same thing. So I think having that principled stance brings great dividends, not in politics today, but for 20-30 years to come. Today, politics may be about how much money you have, how many seats you have. But my prediction in 20 years from now is about a comprehensive re-evaluation of the decisions which you took in politics and even in your own personal life. And I believe that the decisions which I take today, which may be difficult today, I think is the right decision, and I think people will see that, if not today, in the future. That's one. Two, I think that's where politics should move back to its trajectory of service. Today, again, people see the majority of politicians be selfish, power-driven, going back on their words and commitments, sacrificing principles for convenient gains, and these are all issues. I think that's an issue which politicians like myself and many others will have to work on to win back people's trust. Will it be easy? Of course not. It will take years, if not decades, to be honest. But in the end, people say politics is often a reflection of the larger public, especially in a robust democratic country. Malaysia, while being a nascent democracy, is a robust democracy. And we've had multiple elections. While it may be slightly unfair, but in general, we've had even changes in governments, unexpected changes in governments. So what that says, it shows that people's power matters. So I think in the end, when people continue to keep on perpetuating the same political trends, I think that's something which we need to reflect on as well. And politicians will have to reflect on as well. Do you dare to change the path despite the fact it being tough? Or do you want to stick to the path which may end up leading us to a worse outcome?
Okay, short one.
My name is Iza. I'm from Iza. I'm an international relations student. So my question will be short and perspective. Maybe what's your opinion on Malaysia and AI? So Malaysia would be like AI hub, okay, where they emphasize AI. But however, we know that AI actually gonna mengurangkan kerja Malaysia, and then we are having a low wage, and somehow we are as a student as well, macam we are kind of concerned on this point, macam on this, kalau kita dah banyak rely on AI, then what we need to be, and macam mana, what your opinion on that, and what is your maybe Malaysia preparation on having the AI hub?
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. I'm obviously a big fan of AI. If anything, before ChatGPT was normalized, I was one of the first ones to use it. Today, it's not just ChatGPT. You see the rise of DeepSeek, you see Grok, you see many others coming up. But that's just AI which increases productivity for users. We haven't talked about other forms of AI which will allow for you to detect diseases much early. AI which could not replace doctors but allow for more precision surgical precise surgeries. You will see AI in sports, where back then you may need to hire 10 coaches. Now you only need one coach plus an AI toolbox to make precise decisions, hiring, coaching decisions, etc. Why I say I'm always in support of it, because I don't think AI can replace humans totally. If anything, there will be an enhancement or an increase in productivity. However, what it also means that if you are left behind and you don't upskill, then yes, you will be replaced. Similarly, for an example, back then, I'm not sure if you know spinning jenny. Just look up the history of spinning jenny. Back then, you know, cotton industry is a very big industry. Back then, in order for people to weave cotton, it's done manually. That's why you have big factories which hires thousands of people. Then spinning jenny coming. Spinning jenny is the dalam bahasa apa, you know, where you just step on that and then but it's called spinning jenny. Instead of hiring 10, you only need to hire 4. But these 4 people, the productivity increases by 30 times. So the outcome and output is much more. It doesn't mean the 6 people suddenly magically disappear. Now their job shift to different. Maybe they will serve the factory line. Maybe now they will be in charge of marketing. Back then marketing was never a thing. Similarly, when it comes to AI today, there will be a lot more jobs created out of prompting. Don't just think about data engineering, data scientists, no. But there will be other more productive or outcome-based jobs which will be there. My recommendation on this particular matter, instead of being on the negative, Malaysia can try to, we will not adopt AI. Sure, you may not. Singapore will, Indonesia will, Philippines will. Investors will go there, they will not come here. Let's say for an example, if Malaysia today does not adopt AI and our factories and our manufacturing sector does not adopt smart manufacturing factories, you really think FDI will come into Malaysia? Hell no. Dah lah nak hire ramai orang, mahal, baik aku pergi dekat Indonesia. Dah lah nickel processing factory kat sana, kan? It's better for me to hire people there. You will lose out. That's the fact of the matter, because we are in a way already living in a borderless world. Even for an accountant, you think today MNC will need to hire an accountant in Malaysia? No, they just hire an accountant via a call center in India, which is half the cost, 2 times more productive than us. And that's why I get very worried when people always look at wages. Don't just look at wages, look at the rise of productivity in Malaysia. And the rise is relatively low. And AI is supposed to boost that. If you fail to capture that, you will be at a huge detriment. I just want to show one very simple example. For myself, you know, back then, I like doing everything on my own. Today, for example, in terms of my video editing, I still have a part-time video editor, but I've learned how to use CapCut and its AI features. Researching, right? Back then, it will take me like 5 hours to research on a particular topic. Today, I utilize all 3 different AI, not just ChatGPT. I use Grok, I use another platform, and I use deep search into it as well. I have the subscription model of research as well. And it's so detailed to a point that I think this is partially even better than a researcher in Malaysia. I can say that because I was a researcher before. Not to say I'm the best researcher, but it's so detailed. And it can come out in like 5 minutes, you know. So these are all things which make the world of a difference for me. And I'm an employer as well. I'm a policy maker, and I know if we don't adapt, we'll be left far, far, far behind. But does that mean again that Malaysia will abandon its workers and workforce? No. It just means that you guys will have to adapt and continuously upskill. Back then, maybe you need to upskill once every 3 to 4 years. Today, you have to upskill once every 6 months. And you must always know what's going on. You need to always know what are the trends. You need to always know what progress is made. If not, you'll be left far, far behind. So today, your university degree is not there for you for 4 years. Your university degree will need to be refreshed every 6 months. And I hope that you have that in you. Yeah.
Okay, itu sahaja masa yang kita ada. Thank you so much YB. Minta maaf agak panas sikit.
Terima kasih yang menonton. Jangan lupa like, subscribe. Jumpa lagi guys.